Go there. All right. Welcome to Bridges Live, and we have another show for you here called Black Love. We're the Dyers, and you are the
Slips.
How you doing, Fulton? I haven't seen you since last month, and how you been?
As my grandma always say, we're still breathing.
There you go. I'm glad we're able to do these shows called Black Love and love conversations and love and understanding. Any feedback you get from last month at all about from what people thought and what they said about the conversation?
Well, it's just that it was a needed conversation. That was, because I think a lot of times we don't have a lot of conversations that are needed. We just put them back, and we don't want to talk about some of the things the struggles that are in the beginning of a marriage.
Yeah.
And we don't realize if we don't deal with some of those beginning of the marriage struggles, they continue out through the whole relationship.
And you really touched a lot of the things. I know for me, after the show was really emotional because I am so happy, and I don't know how it looks. It doesn't matter, but I'll defer to you guys every time because in everything I've ever done, I've always had seniors, right? I've had a senior instructor. I've had a senior professor. I've had a senior people who in my community or in my heart, I have no problem sitting down at the feet and listening. And I know I feel that way. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, it's really a seasoned couple getting feedback and especially with this being so new for both of us. And then although we're seasoned adults, the marriage is new to us. So navigating through all of the things that we brought into the marriage as far as, things that we were accustomed to doing as single people and understanding that things change when you become a couple and that it's a we and no longer an I.
Yeah, that's very crucial. The we component, that coming together.
So this week, I want to touch on what do you think about not feeling adequate enough in... It doesn't mean individual inadequacy, but a couple inadequacy. Does that make sense?
You mean inadequate together?
Yeah, like I don't think I'm enough for her, or she doesn't think she's enough for me. But as individual people, we're enough. And sometimes
I know I'm letting you have that
one. That's good, and that need to be recognized, and that need to be always at your front of your relationship. And the reason why I say that need to be always in your thoughts and your thought and your wife's thought, because that's powerful. What I mean by that, because if you always have that instinct of that you good enough for your wife or your wife is good enough for you, then y'all guys gonna kind of bear apart, or your guys gonna stay in one spot. Yeah. So other words, you always have to be hungry for that. So you must keep that thought at all time, because that always make you and your wife move more stronger towards each other, emotional wise, spiritual wise, and emotional and
mental. That's what you're
mental wise. And financial wise too. And so that's a must. You have to keep that. So don't look at that as that kind of a negative thing. So that is you have to keep that. That's like in life situation. Anytime you get too comfortable in something that you always got life, you think you got life under control, then tomorrow comes with a switch kick, and you'll be back to day one. You don't know what the heck happened.
So just a level of inadequacy keeps you where you're not to the point of complacency. You're always trying to, push your relationship to be better. That means you're trying to become a better person. I think when you always think you are the best fit or the best person for that person, you're never trying to improve yourself. But I said a little level of inadequacy, because you don't want to be feeling so inadequate that you always need to be validated or assured in your relationship either. Right. So that's why I said it needs to be a little to keep you on your edge, so you don't stay in complacency. But if it comes to a point where it's feeding into your insecurities or feeding into your jealousy of each other, that is not allowing you to be the best version of yourself, is being eaten away, then you need to really go talk about that inadequacy and how it's building up and how that distance is being created, because an inadequacy can create that distance. That's why I always say just a little bit is necessary.
And the way we keep that, because sometimes life get us so occupied, we don't ever get a chance to do that now. Me and my wife discussed that. We discussed that too, and we have to make ourselves do that. I think each couple have to make themselves do it. We have to call ourselves, have a dialogue night. That's a must. That must got to have, because y'all guys can be so occupied in your own life, paying bills, rushing, get stuff done. Mm-hmm. Y'all guys don't never have time to come together to dialogue to find out what's on your mind and what's on her mind, what's on my wife's mind, what's my mind. Then it don't come together till destruction comes, and that should be far away from that. So we have to call preventive maintenance. So we guys have to sit there and pick a day out of the week, or must day, ain't no think day, I guess day.
It's a dialogue day.
It's your dialogue day. Nothing can come in between that day.
Not on date night dialogue day. That's not what we're talking about. Date night is something different.
That's completely different.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
What you know, some of the things that I'm thinking about a young person, a young black male who has society has told him what he's not, told him what he needs to be, told him what he's supposed to be, told him where he should be at this level of his life at this particular time. And he finds himself not there, but yet he still wants to have a partner, and that relationship won't work out because of the self-inadequacy he feels. Do you find that to be true?
Let me say something.
Okay,
Let's break this down. You said that word. You said what is it?
A young person.
No. Let's break this down. Let's put this in the sense. We talking about in age-wise, or we talking about in
maturity-wise?
Which one we talking about?
Maturity.
Okay. So if we're talking about a person who is really not mature in themselves, which could be at any age, you could have somebody who's not sure of themselves at any age. The thing is, you do need to find your own identity first, not allowing people to call you who you are. So you have to make a decision and say who you are as a male first before that you can actually get a helpmate. Because if you don't even know who you are, what are you getting a helpmate for? Because you don't even know what this helpmate is supposed to be helping you in, because you have no direction, no plan, no place that you're going. So what are they helping you stay lost? Because the thing is, I think a lot of times a man is looking for a woman to define him when that is not her role, is to define him and call him. He's already supposed to be a king looking for a queen to become into this royal union that already exists to have a helpmate, because he's already built up some type of kingdom within himself. And I'm not talking about richness. And I think when people say built up a kingdom, it's all about these material possessions. But I'm talking about this kingdom within. If your king don't have a kingdom within, like my husband talking about, this mental, emotional, spiritual kingdom, there is nothing that a queen can do to make him be a king.
You have to, and then start to add to what my wife's saying, especially a man, talking to me and you, especially a man. We have to have self-confidence in our self-esteem and our emotional, our physical doings and our financial. We have to have that. We have to build that within ourselves, because no matter what lady that we run into, if that's not together, we're going to be very insecure to ourselves. I mean very insecure to ourselves, because we're going to put demands on the lady that shouldn't be put on the lady. We're going to act in confidence around her, which that should never happen. And that's no negative thought on the woman. That's a negative thought on our part, because we come into a relationship, as my wife say, not knowing ourselves. So us men, we got to know ourselves, because there's going to be a time that you're going to have to represent that stage of life that we trying to hide. We trying to cover up that I'm going to keep on playing this game. I'm never going to be challenged. And then when you run into a lady that really challenges, then you're going to look at her and think something is wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing wrong. She is challenging your pride and your ego and your determination. And you have to come up to the plate and accept that and do what is needed to put that in order. But that's just my opinion.
That's what, ego has a lot to do with it. And you hit that word on the head. And I just think human beings suffer with that ego issue. And it actually can destroy a relationship, thinking that you're supposed to be something more than what you are meant to be.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you guys are saying. I think also when a person, whether it's male or female, come into a relationship and they are not completely have their self-esteem or self-confidence, I think it also can start cause resentment.
Yeah, when somebody doesn't have the self-confidence they need, it can be the resentment, because you feel like you can be making feel like you're holding that person back, or even actually not allowing them to be yourself. And that's why I said all of these little things that come into a relationship, they basically create division. They create division, or they create an environment or atmosphere that is really not conducive to growing. So it's kind of like putting seeds in soil that's never going to grow. And then you become frustrated because you're putting all this work for it and nothing is being produced in your relationship. And that's what lack of confidence does. That's what jealousy does. That's what insecurity does. Those are things, you're planting seeds in your relationship that are actually just weeds that's going to choke out whatever that you have created. So you have to be sure that you actually label those things what they are. And a lot of times in relationships, instead of saying, admitting what's wrong with us, we like to push it off on the other person, when it's actually we're not, we don't know who we are, so we start trying to define our mate in a different way, or we try to push our insecurities or jealousies off on them by saying it's their behavior or they're this, when really it's our mind running away with us because it's things that we have not actually matured to in our life.
And it's both of our faults. You and your wife fault, right. And my wife.
If we don't have our dog all day,
because the simple reason why, maybe we make our mistakes at the simple stuff. We don't stress nothing on the simple stuff. Your wife might say something, you might say something. Oh, that don't mean nothing. We'll let that fly. That's when y'all guys need to stop right there and put a stop to it and deal with it right then. That's the problem that we have. That's the problem that we have, because society builds it that way. Yeah. And that's human nature. But we have to fight that, because you want to keep destruction out of your life, out of you and your wife. You want to keep destruction out of you and your kids' life. You want to keep destruction out of your business life. So we have to pay attention to simple stuff. Because simple stuff go by like a split second, and we don't pay attention to that simple stuff, because it don't went by so fast. We only pay attention to simple stuff when the destruction is coming in and start weighing 40 and 50 pounds. And my man, I think that's a little too late then, because it went by too long.
Because once it goes by too long, then things like what you were saying, Courtney, that it chokes it, but it chokes yourself, and then you have no ability to move. And then I think that's where asking for help can help. If you know how to ask for help. I hope people learn how to ask for help. I hope people don't think that, but I just don't think, being a seasonal male, I'm okay with asking for help. But I sometimes think about not just immature humans mentally, physically, but they're not asking for help. And they're not seeing, like, what we're trying to do here is so you can see that we're going to go through things as a relationship, as a couple, but it doesn't mean we can't have dialogue. And that's what Fulton, he keeps telling, he hits me in my head all week long. Fulton's like, open your mouth, say something, because you can't say something, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, right? So.
Yes.
But you have to realize one thing. Remember that you say if you need to ask for help. And you have to, me and my wife talk about this all the time, is the action, there's motion behind it. The same thing with asking for help. We have to get our mind set on, not on a person verbally saying, I'm asking for help. We have to get our mind set on other aspect of life, how that person is responding to us and asking for help, because this person, we as American, we speak American language. Another person asks for help, he's speaking Japanese. And we have to figure out some kind of way what he really is saying.
Get a translator.
Yeah, to get a translator to find out what he really asking. He asks for help. So what I'm saying, your wife can come to you, or my wife can come to me and ask for help, but not saying I need help.
Yeah.
She may be coming into you another way. So it's up to you guys, you and your wife, to slow your roll down and find what is she really asking me, or what is he really asking me, and get it solved, because a lot of people don't know how to ask for help in a regular human way.
And I want to say something, that when we're asking for help, there's nothing wrong with getting somebody else to do the mediation, getting a translator in there, because you can sit down on dialogue day and still not understand or comprehend or really get the resolution you need. So you might have to have somebody kind of serve as that translator that can speak both of your languages and say, okay, this is what we're trying to get done here. Saying help does not always mean something is going wrong in a relationship.
Right.
And I think, like my husband said, like that little thing that goes past and be like, okay, I needed to get clarity on that. I needed to understand that. I needed to straighten that out. But we didn't. Okay, so when it flew by, that was, like you say, a 2-pound weight. Okay, I can carry that weight. That's no big deal. But if somebody keep loading enough 2-pound weights on you, eventually your relationship just can't keep carrying that. It gets so heavy. So if you stop and actually have those days and have those conversations and realize there are just some things that we alone cannot figure out the answer to, with this finances, go sit you with a financial manager, go sit you with a CPA, I'm going to put it out there. If you got problems in the bedroom, go talk to a sex expert or a sex therapist, because it's different things that everybody has in communication. Right. And there is somebody who has a specialty and a niche in each one of those areas that we have to really stop saying, okay, this is just what everybody going through. And I think this is where we mess up in our relationships, is saying everybody goes through this, so eventually it'll just go past. No, it's something that everybody hits, but how are we getting resolutions, or are people just breaking up? And if we look at the statistics, yes, everybody goes through it, but it's 80-90% of the people are breaking up and not trying to figure out the resolution and doing the work that's needed. So that's the difference in that clarity when you're talking about find out and identify what is the root of why that communication on that day cannot be heard by each individual person.
And the most important part of that, you both individuals had to go into it with an open mind. No one-track mind, because they're gonna be a starting point. I mean, there's a starting point. They're gonna be confusing. So you have to go in with an open mind. You go in with an open mind, then you'll be open for anything, and you'll have a solution for everything. Just don't go in and say she don't know what she's talking about. Is she wrong, or he don't know what to find out? He wrong. No, that's the wrong way to approach the subject. If you're going in with that kind of mindset, you already lost right then. So you guys, me and my wife, when a discussion comes up, you got to go in with an open mind. Just like you going out, like it ain't no GPS. If you're trying to go somewhere, then it's a traffic jam. My wife's good at it. It's a traffic jam. You got to figure out another way to get around this. So if you're going with a one-track mind, you just go down I-20. You're gonna be stuck.
You're gonna be stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just gonna make that point, because sometimes when you ask for help, you have an idea in your head already, the kind of help that you want, but your partner, and it's not just in marriage, just anybody that you ask for help, you've already kind of had an idea how I need this person to help me, but their idea might be totally different. So you're absolutely right, Fulton, about having an open mind, because I could come to him and say, hey, I need help doing X, Y, and Z, and I already have made up in my mind like how I want him to do it, and then he'll do it his way, and then I'm like, oh, so, really keeping that open mind and saying, okay, well, he did it his way and it still got solved, so what's the big deal? Keep it moving.
I think it's funny how wanting creates expectations. The idea of wanting creates an expectation of how the outcome is going to be. And I think that's something for failure right there. Having an expectation of your own outcome, your own personal outcome.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes that expectation of the outcome instead of just desiring the resolution, no matter what is the outcome. Not saying, it has to look just like this.
Right.
Just as the example my husband was giving, as long as we make it to where we're going, let's not focus on what we see when we get there. So as long as we are having a happy and a good relationship, hey, these might be some new things that we need to see. And most of the time, I can be honest, you're going through those things in your relationship because it's something in you that needs to be developed, whether it's patience, whether it's, a new communication skill in a relationship that you're learning by being with your spouse. They stretching you to a whole nother level. Because, I mean, we've done some stretching here. I'm telling you.
And the most important part we need to do, and I'm learning a lot from my wife. I'm not afraid to tell nobody. I tell the whole world I'm a man. I'm learning a lot from my wife. But the most important part we guys need to learn is don't overlook the conversation. We must not do that. Your wife shouldn't overlook your conversation. You should not overlook her conversation, because to me, myself, I'm trying to say it plain, I call that disrespect. And meaning she said something to you and you just walked away from it. Even though you're still having a conversation, but you still just walked away from our conversation. We need to deal with, like my wife get on me all the time, I got a bad habit of doing that. Don't do it on purpose, but I got a bad habit of doing that. She recognized that. We have to work on that. Don't ignore her conversation. Or address her conversation, because she brought that word to you for a reason. So you must address that before we go to the next step.
I like what you said, Fulton. It's like, it's not so much even having a bad habit. Like, that's not the end to be all. You can have a habit. It could be bad. It could be good. But I think recognizing your own personal habit, and that's that awareness. You could be like, like I'm about ready to walk away. Like, oh, that's my habit doing it. Let me stand right here. And like you said, Courtney, it's something inside of you that's tearing, because you're like, I want to leave. And that's something that's inside of you that's like, man, he's staying. Look at you, and it helps. I think it helps.
Yeah, no,
it does help.
Yeah, you see yourself growing and maturing in the relationship. And it's not just helping you right now with this one person. It's helping you just grow all together. And you'll see yourself maturing in. And then that's where you get that self-confidence and lose that insecurity, because you say, okay, I can do this. I'm strong and I'm mature in this place. And that is you're maturing in different levels and not just doing the same old thing.
And let's say you're a sprinter. And I don't know the time on the 40-yard out. I'm saying a 4 flat, 3.9. That's fast.
That's fast.
But one thing you ain't fast is your problems.
You can't outrun those.
You run a 4 flat. Your problem run 3 flat.
They already done waiting.
Yeah, they already. Me and my wife were discussing earlier. I don't care what part of the city you going, what part of the world, your problem already done got there. So you might as well not, like you say, not get up and leave. Just stay right there and just handle it right there.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Mucinex commercial.
Yeah.
With the guy, he's like, "Where you going?" He goes, "I'm going with you. It's Taco Tuesday." It's that you put that problem into that Mucinex guy, and it's like, I'm going wherever you going.
Yeah, and that's it. It's nothing. And even if you're using that example, Mucinex has a timeline on it. It has a timeline on it. Yeah. And if I think right, it's like 8 hours.
Something like that, yeah. Okay.
So whether it's Mucinex, whether it's drugs, whether it's drinking, whatever, it has a time that it's going to wear off, that you're still going to have to deal with what the real issue is. And then that issue is you need to get rid of whatever the sinus, you need to get rid of the cold, you need to get rid of the disease, you need to get rid of whatever is causing the infection that's in your relationship. And 9 times out of 10, we're the common denominator in it. And if we're really honest about ourselves, a lot of times we get upset about things because it's something within us that we really can't control. And when we let go control, we don't even have to be upset about those things anymore. You be like, okay, is this a big deal, or is this something I just want to have control over?
And then something I want to say is, because I get on men's all the time, because when I get on men's, I get on myself, because I'm talking about myself too. But us men, we have to realize that our wife make the same amount of money we make, regardless if she got a job or not. She makes the same amount of money that we make. Her opinion in the house is as values our opinion. And I don't care if she ain't got the kind of education we got. Her opinion matters a lot. She's on the same ball field. Everything's equal. And sometime in life, we don't understand that. Who got the most authority, who got the most smarts, who got the most money. We have to realize in the house, in the house. We were watching a movie one day. I forgot. I think it was Blue Blood.
Oh yeah,
when the daddy told the son, you was the commissioner of the police department, you was the supervisor, but you're not there with me. You're not my commissioner. You're not my commissioner. Mm-hmm. So all this blame outside in your job or in her job, it stays in the file cabinet. So you guys come home and both of y'all guys on equal basis.
On the same team.
On the same team. Be open to learn. Be open to suggest. Be open to learn how to spell cat. Be open to all that. So you have to be open because you don't want no confusion in your dream. Your house is your dream. Your wife is your goal. Your husband is your friend. We have to work hard to do that. Don't bring your big muscles in the house. No, leave your muscles at home and just be a big old flop of jello and just hug around and just let it flow.
And let me talk about this cat. When little things like that word can be spelled many different ways, actually. Mm-hmm. Because we have teach people, but that C can be many letters at the beginning that actually have that same name. Because you know how we like to mess up some spellings and change it, but it could be a Q that could be up there, it could be a K that's up there. So if we get so bogged down in this box in our relationships, I think we need to learn how to not be so boxy that everything needs to be a prescribed way. If we keep it in that 3-letter form and allow ourselves to switch up some things, switch up some letters, and at the end of the day, the pronunciation is still the same. Right. And so that's the same thing in your relationship. The relationship is still the same, even if we replace it with different letters.
Well, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for listening to Black Love with the Smiths and the Dyers. We're here once a month, and we'll let you know when we're coming back next month. I know you have some joy there in your backyard, so we're going to let you...
You hear it going on, huh?
Yeah, we're going to let you get to your joy, but we all have joy, and thank you so much.
This is joy right here, my man. This is joy right here. This is our joy right here.
Thank you.
We is a pail of water. Yeah. When you pour that water, spread. So that's what we is, y'all to us, and we at y'all. That's the way it is.
We're filling each other up.
Filling each other up. So we don't have a pail of water just pouring on the surface. This grass gonna be green and this grass gonna be all mildew and stuff. No, we want the whole yard looking the same.
Yeah. So we sharing this yard together, so we can all have green grass.
And I feel like I was not as talkative on this show as I was the first show, but it's like I feel like I'm a sponge. I'm just taking it all in. Just really hearing you guys, because there were some things that I applied from the first show that we talked about. And, like Fulton is talking about when you come in the door, whatever happened out there, you leave it out there and you're here with one another and being present. And when he needs my attention or he texts me or he calls me, that I stop what I'm doing and address it right, then and there, and not, I'll get to it later. But just trying to address it as soon as I possibly can. And so my quietness today is just that I'm a sponge. I feel like a toddler right now, where how toddlers just take it all in, and I'm just taking it in, and I love that we've created this platform, and I'm hoping that moving forward we can invite other couples on to become a part of this conversation, because I just think it's really needed. Because there are so many things that we as couples, like you guys said, we just don't talk about in a platform. Everybody walks around like, oh, things are so perfect, but then you really start talking to friends and they're like, oh, well, we're going through this and we're going through that, and you go, oh, wow, well, you guys look so happy, but when you're on the outside looking in, that's what everybody has their issues.
It's the work. I just think it just needs. Right, it's the work. It's the work. It's okay to put the work in. You got to put the work in. I mean, Fulton said it. We all said it. I mean, but you got to put the work in. But it's not just the work. It's intentional work. It has to be intentional.
It's intentional work.
Right.
And you know what? I want to say something to what you were talking about. Sometimes you have to sit and be quiet. Our business is the relationship service station, but it makes me think about when I go out in the garage with my husband. Sometimes you got to just let the car sit there and cool off, before you can begin the work in your relationship. So it's just a time you got to sit there and you got to let the fluids get in, you got to let everything work out before you can actually do a diagnosis of what's going on. So I think a lot of times we act in a heated moment in our relationships, or we're so loud. A lot of times we got the engine running or we got the radio on. We can't really pinpoint what the issue is. And that is why we do need spaces like this. We need spaces like this that we can come to in a moment and just, kind of sit back so we can absorb some of the things that's going on around us so we can be in that cool place. So I like that you said that it's just the time to kind of say, okay, I'm going to get these fluids put in me. I'm going to see how they work out. And then I'm going to start this engine back up. And then I can pinpoint some of the issues a little bit better. And then we can conversate about them versus just kind of just saying, okay, blah, 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 blah. And then you really haven't determined what it is that you're trying to intake and what you're trying to push out to clean out the system to have your best ride anyway.
Let me say one thing in closing. My wife just said something, and I'm listening to his wife say something, and it made me think something. As a man, we get in a fast pace that we don't have time to think, and we be going so fast we don't have time to think, and we be frustrated. And I'm learning because I learned something from my wife several years ago. She thought I forgot about it. I ain't forgot about it. But us husbands, when we get in the fast pace, we get frustrated, we need to grab our wife. Just come and sit beside me. Just come and sit beside me, and just say some few little words to me, because you're in a frustrated moment right now. My point is, I'm working on the vehicle, and I was so frustrated with this vehicle because I couldn't get it to do a certain thing, and I had my computer on, my little fancy computer on it that my wife don't know nothing about. Now how she figured this out, I don't know. But anyway, I had this fancy computer, and I'm checking one thing on this car, and I'm keep replacing this one little part. Once again, my wife don't know nothing about no cars. And she picked up the computer and said, "Baby," I was looking at the current. I was looking at some kind of code. And she said, "Babe, look at the persistent another code on there. Look at this code." I said, "That ain't got nothing to do with this car. That ain't got nothing to do with this car running whatsoever. This car, I'm fixing what's wrong with the car. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know about no car." I was so frustrated, but I didn't pay attention to what she was saying. Then after she left, and I started sitting in the car by myself, and I started simming myself down.
I was spending $300-$400.
Yeah, that's what I know. I
Get an expert to look at.
Yeah, I say, doggone, I said, let me slow down here a little bit. Let me go back to something simple. My wife said something. She don't know what thing she's talking about, but I'm gonna try this anyway. You know that fix the car? Fix the car? She told me to fix the car. That fix the car. So my point is, ladies and gentlemen, when we get into this atmosphere of high blood pressure, bring someone else in, like my wife said, a counselor that come and help you out, because you don't know she or he might say something to get you through your turmoil that you're in. So don't never be so proud that you locked everything up in your chest and you're gonna handle it on your own.
That's right. Thank you so much. Miss Courtney, you want to pray us out?
Yes, indeed, as always. Father God, as always, we come to you with thanksgiving, God. Thank you for creating this platform. Thank you for allowing us to speak here, God. For everybody that hears this, God, give them the capability for it to be something that they can apply, Father. Something that they can apply in all their relationships so that the love shows, so that the love grows. God, do not let this fall on deaf ears, God. Allow this to be a change and a transition for every stage of relationships, in the beginning, in the dating, for the seasoned people, God. Let us hear you in this word so that we can be clear on where it is that you want us to go. In the name of Jesus, we pray for godly relationships.
Amen.
Amen. Say hello to that. Love you guys.
Sorry, I didn't make it here to the ATL, but we'll see you next time.
Yes, you will. You can hit that.